What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the lineup. We are back for another week. First off, we want to thank you guys for all the support last week. Bunch of views on YouTube, bunch of new Instagram followers, bunch of followers, likes, and views on our TikToks. We just want to thank everybody who checked us out. There's so much more to come. And yeah, if you haven't, check us out. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube are everywhere. And we're only going to be getting bigger. All right. So I think the first thing we want to talk about, we're going to continue with the NBA track from last time as our first conversation. Let's talk about the Sixers. That's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch the game yesterday. They played the Lakers the date was January 28th for those of you watching and listening. I didn't watch the game. I saw the highlight of Tobias Harris winning shot, pretty impressive.
Long Island legend.
Long Island boy went to Lehigh and
Hills West.
Hills West. Okay, I always forget the difference between Hills West and Hills East. But yeah, our first question, like in prepping, we're like, are the Sixers for real? Because they're number one in the East. They just beat the Lakers, who are considered the best team in the league.
I mean, look, I saw a stat yesterday. So the Nets were on yesterday, and like obviously I had to watch my boys. But a big thing I saw was the Sixers have a very interesting little record. They were 10-0 against under 500 teams, which is good. I mean, good teams need to win those games against those easy opponents. And a big thing like I get from being a Nets fan is the Nets generally lose those type of games. A lot of these teams who are really good just can't beat these not so great opponents.
They let their guard down.
They do, and they don't try. And I'd say the one thing about the Sixers is they know how to attack these teams. And that was great. I saw that. They are 500 against 500 teams. And I know they lost to the Nets when they didn't have Kyrie or KD, but that was before the Harden trade. Look, I think the Sixers are for real. I think they're a good team. I don't love Ben Simmons. He's a great defensive player. Tobias Harris has really proved to people like, hey, maybe I'm not great. I'm not worth a max contract, but I'm good. I'm an all-star level player. Joel Embiid is a stud. I mean, like, best or second best center in the league with Jokic. We can debate that after.
We'll get into Embiid.
We'll get into that, but Embiid's really good. Like, he's really good. Seth Curry is incredible. I didn't realize how good Seth Curry was going to be. And then, yeah, I mean, their roster's built well. Doc Rivers has proven he's not the best playoffs coach, but they're good. I mean, like, what are you thinking? I think they're for real.
I haven't watched them too much. The only game that I really watched them was when they played the Knicks, and that was like the second game of the season, like very early in the season. So I haven't been really paying attention. All I know is that I think they have the best record in the East, right?
They do have the best record in the East. They're the 1 seed.
Yeah. So I'm just like pulling up Joel Embiid's stats right now. I'm just taking a look.
They're good. I mean, we knew Embiid was good. He's been all-star starting center for the East the last few years. He's taken over as he can shoot. He's a great defender. He's a good guy, good for the team. He's for real. He's your number one.
So, yeah. So I think you mentioned Seth Curry. I think Seth Curry is a perfect, he can fit on any team he's on. I mean, he's solid wing defender. He shoot the lights out, and it has a little bit more to his game than just shooting. Tobias Harris, I've always been a fan, not just because he's from Long Island. He's more of a 4, but he could guard the 3 and 4 at a decent level. He could shoot. He has a mid-range game. He's just not super elite or at any particular skill, but he's pretty good at everything he does. Simmons, look, I think what separates them from being a championship team is a closing guard that could do everything. They can score from every level, can dribble, pass, shoot, whatever.
I think we both know who we think the Sixers should trade for.
Bradley Beal.
We'll
get more into Bradley Beal later, but I just like Simmons because he defends and he's a great passer. Because RJ, especially lately, RJ Barrett for the Knicks, is playing very well. I don't know if he made a shot on Ben Simmons. Like, he couldn't do anything against Ben Simmons. I was so impressed by his defense.
Do you remember that game? I took the RJ Barrett over 17.5 playoff player prop, and he scored like 8 points on like 1 of 17 shooting.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Like, he couldn't do anything against him. So we'll wait and see. But the Sixers are a good team.
They're good. I mean, like Dwight Howard off the bench, he's great. Not the best free throw shooter. I don't know if you saw last night. He completely airballed the free throw.
Yeah.
And Embiid pulled him open. He's like, "This is how you shoot the ball." It was funny. I mean, they're showing they're a good team. Tyrese Maxey is a baller.
He can play.
I mean, we'll see if they trade him. But I think the next thing we got to talk about, Bradley Beal.
Before we go into, I forgot to mention something. I think getting Seth Curry and trading Josh Richardson was good for both teams. I think both teams benefited from that. I think the Sixers needed a guy that could consistently hit shots, and Seth Curry's that.
Yeah, and the Mavs needed a defender.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's talk about Bradley Beal. Dude is putting up 40 a game, put up 60 something last night. They can't win. The Wizards, Thomas Bryant going down was huge. I'm a big Thomas Bryant fan. He's kind of like a Spencer Dinwiddie, a Christian Wood, guys who were given up on very early in their career, and then they got in the perfect opportunity and they shined. I like him a lot. He's done for the year, which definitely hurts when your best big man is out. Westbrook's a shell of his former self. He looks awful. I actually saw a stat. He's 174 points on 174 shots, which is hysterical to me. I mean, like, hey, that's he at least he scores every time he gets shoots by stat. But he's bad. He's not great. Bradley Beal has kept on saying he wants to stay loyal to the Wizards, the team that drafted him, the team that gave him that max contract. He's got to leave. There's no winning there. We both don't like Westbrook anymore. I was a big Westbrook guy. I've officially taken myself off the Westbrook list. Beal needs to go, man, and he needs to go to the Sixers for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I'm a huge Westbrook hater. I think he pads his stats. I think he's just never been. He's always had a reputation of being a hard worker. And what I don't understand is how he's such a bad defender, because defense is 90% effort. So I can't wrap my mind around it. He's got the quickness and athleticism to guard any guard in the league, and the strength too. And he can't somehow. I don't get it. And apparently he works harder than any other player in the NBA, which I don't understand. The Wizards just don't have depth.
No.
They got Beal, and even if you want to consider Westbrook an all-star player, they don't have anything else. You mentioned Thomas Bryant. He was a key for them. Solid big man. I think undrafted out of Indiana, not highly touted, and turned himself into a really good role player. One of the I'm not going to say one of the better starting centers, but a solid starting center.
Like a good center. Like, he's a traditional guy. He shoots threes now too, which is interesting.
Oh, he does? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he shoots threes. He had a 3 against the Nets, I think. It was like, what the?
No, but yeah, Bradley Beal's got to get out of there. They've been atrocious for the last few years. They haven't been going anywhere. Provided him with no support. Look. I think the Sixers are a good destination for him.
I agree.
I heard this on First Take, and I agree with it. I think the Bucs would be a good location.
I've heard that too. So if you're the Bucs, I'm the Bucs GM. I don't know his name, but if I'm the Bucs GM and I'm trying to solidify my roster to beat the Nets, I think he's about the best addition you can have. But the question is what do you give up? You give up Dante DiVincenzo, who's a great two-way player, and then who else do you give up? Bobby Portis is having a very good year off the bench, but do you trade your whole depth for Bradley Beal? I love Bradley Beal. I think he's great, but I don't like that. I think they're good enough to contend with, in my opinion, the number 1 team in the East.
They're not, but they're not more than an Eastern Conference Finals team. They need a guy, man, because Giannis in the playoffs, he can't do anything.
Even Middleton in the playoffs, he can't do anything either.
I mean, Middleton and Holiday are both good players, but you need that next tier of scoring.
Yeah, Giannis is
And they
not.
don't have that. Besides, I mean, Giannis can't shoot, and you see in the playoff, it's a problem.
I mean, yeah, it's hard when biased Nets fan when the best team in the East with the most talent has three guys who you could say go shoot a three, go score, go shoot, go lay up, go lay it in. Like the Nets have three of those guys, that can really get it done on the scoring end. So that's an interesting situation. Where else do you think he fits? I think the Nuggets could make a push for him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have the assets. I believe they have all their picks. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I'm one of those three. You have to think are interesting. Um, so let's talk about another little trade situation going on in Cleveland. So obviously after the James Harden trade, Cleveland picked up an amazing young center. I love him, Jared Allen. He's great. What the Drummond saga? Well, I'm hearing Drummond buying out. He wants to sign on a minimum with the Nets. I love it. I mean, I love the guy. He's going to get 20 boards. He's going to score for you. What do you think happens to Drummond?
That's hard to say because I've heard that. I saw it on like Hoop Central, but they're not very the most reliable
No, no.
source. So I don't know how much to put into that. But Drummond, I could realistically see him getting bought out. I mean, they have three centers, and he'll obviously want to play for a contender. I think the Nets would be a good place for him because he's going to get a starting spot. He's going to play a lot of minutes, and all he's got to do is rebound and dunk it, and block shots. Yeah, and that's all he has to do, and it's a good role for him. And then you put DeAndre Jordan off the bench, and then your center depth gets that much better.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a good spot.
The only thing I think as a scared Nets fan is why wouldn't so you see the Nets don't have their many picks anymore. We traded all those picks for Harden, which we spoke about last episode. But if I'm the Boston Celtics, who have a great roster, I got a young Jason Tatum, I got a young Jalen Brown, I got a really good Kemba Walker, the great rookie and Peyton Richard, I like him a lot. Why don't you say, you know what? I don't want Brooklyn to get him. We're going to give you, Cleveland, a second round pick. Don't buy him out. We'll give you a second round pick. We'll keep that contract for this year. Give me Drummond. What stops a contending team like that saying, we'll give you a quick second round pick? We want him. That's our guy.
I don't know how many because I remember going in this offseason, like the Knicks and maybe a couple other teams were the only teams that had cap. So I don't know if they have room to take on his contract. And if they do, they're going to have to get rid of a lot of guys that might be key to their team because Drummond's not one of those guys who are like, all right, I'm trading all my depth to get. Like,
No.
he's solid, but go trade, like, even JaVale McGee. I'd rather give up a second round pick for JaVale McGee if he takes up less cap.
That's fair. I mean, Boston has two pretty decent centers. Look, Tristan Thompson talking about getting his number retired in Cleveland. He's a good backup center. Daniel Tice is a Daniel Tice is a very good serviceable center as well. So I think the last thing they need to really concern themselves with is Drummond. I was just thinking that I'm worried about. We don't want you to have him, so we're gonna get him. But other than that, I think if Andre Drummond is not bought out, I think the Nets will trade for either JaVale McGee or Andre Drummond. Kevin Love, I think they keep him to mentor the young guys. I mean, they have a great backcourt. Jared Allen's a good player. They have a decent little roster going on there. I can see them keeping Kevin Love for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't know how many more years that Kevin Love has on his contract. If he has more than one, he's going to be difficult to trade away because he signed a huge contract and he hasn't been healthy and hasn't been playing much. So I don't know if a team wants to take that risk.
I'm just gonna pull up his contract real quick. He is a free agent in 2023, which is not great. So I can't really imagine a team is willing to give up that much for that contract. So
Yeah,
we'll see with the Kevin Love.
I mean, that's the type of contract where you would want to get it off your books and probably have to give up a pick to get it off your books. It's not a guy that you're going to be able to get something for.
Yeah, I think just the problem with Cleveland is they're not a New York Knicks, they're not a Lakers, they're not a Clippers. Guys aren't gonna really just sign there. You got to build your guys through the draft. Yeah. I don't think it's worth trading a future asset to get them off the books when you know what, like they're good. They have a great backcourt. Collin Sexton killed us.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about that too. We didn't talk about that in the pre-show.
notes.
little chat we had, or notes in chat, but I actually want to get into that too.
Yeah, I
been
mean,
balling.
Sexland is good, but I don't think Sexland's going to compete for a championship in the next 2 years. So let's ride out Kevin Love. Let him mentor. Let him be there for your young guys. And then you know what? When we got Jared Allen, Sexland, we got some great players. Let's compete. Let's get a decent free agent for a good money, and like let's build from there. But let's talk about Sexton.
Dude has been surprisingly really good. Like, I watched the end of the Nets game, and he scored what, 20 something straight points. I was like, what is going on? He's an all-star.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. There was this huge thing going around on Twitter where people were like, it's a miracle. Like Collin Sexton is like a serviceable point guard last year. He was he was so inefficient. People were like, Collin Sexton is a bum. And this guy took that and he worked his ass off. And he killed us.
A lot of the worry with him was, I think was that he wouldn't develop a jump shot. And I think he was okay last year. I think he had a decent year, but his rookie year, he was not too good. And I think people were worried about that. And he's proven them wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they got Darius Garland, who he was hurt. I actually picked him up on fantasy. I took a little bit of that. He's a great shooting guard. He was having a very good year before his injury. He's going to work in there. What's the name of their rookie that they just picked up from Auburn? Okoro's a great player. Jared, I've said this. I've been praising him all show. I love Jared Allen. He's amazing. Kevin Love is a good veteran. It's not a bad team.
Yeah, they're not too bad. They're playing a lot better than what their expectations were. They're playing tough. I think they're playing good defense. I was so mad they beat the Knicks with like everyone hurt. Dotson started at point guard, but Drummond was basically playing point guard, and they still won because Drummond had like 30 and 20 because Mitchell Robinson's skinny ass can't guard him.
But yeah, they're good. I mean, around the league, I think the few things we wanted to highlight, the Wizards are going to have to sell the Pelicans. This is another thing. We didn't talk about this.
Yeah.
So people are discussing maybe a Lonzo Ball for Kelly Oubre swap. But Kelly Oubre's actually had a very good last 3 games. He struggled in the beginning of the season, but with Draymond Green back, James Wiseman's playing great basketball right now. Oubre's picking it up, and I just don't see the Warriors making that move. I mean, Lonzo, I'm not a LeVar Ball fan. I'm not a Ball family fan. I wanted to believe in Lonzo. Is it time to give up? I think it is.
Oh, God, I don't know. He's a good defender. It's like people they want the Knicks to trade for Lonzo. I'm like, no, like, dude, like what, we're gonna get another point guard that can't shoot? What are we doing? No, like, I don't know. I think because I had big expectations from him. I was a huge Lonzo fan coming out of college because, I mean, college is a different game. So I think he shot pretty well and he could pass, and I liked his game a lot, and I thought it was going to translate. So far, not as well as I thought. He still defends, but
I didn't know if he was like kind of a Markelle Fultz where he was scared to play on the big scene. Like LA is big. LA's number one. And he got traded to New Orleans. And I obviously live in New Orleans for most of the time. And like, yeah, I just like don't know if we should give up on him yet. He's a good defender, but is being a good defender like worth it in today's day and age when you can't do anything on the offensive end?
You need at least a jump shot.
You need at least a jump shot.
You have to do something on the offensive end. Like you saw this with Andre Roberson. The dude, great defender, absolute, like maybe elite defender. But they would sit in the paint against him because he literally couldn't shoot. And he couldn't do anything else on offense. So he would just stand there, and it's like playing 4-on-5.
Yeah, and the other thing is if you watch Lonzo's game, he won't drive because he can't hit free throws. He's scared of free throw shooting. And like, if you're a coach and you have a guy who can't shoot, he can't hit free throws, why am I employing him anymore? So we'll see with the Lonzo saga.
speaking of the Pelicans, a lot of people are saying free JJ Reddick. They think he should get traded. I just wanted to mention that. I guess he should because he would
Not having a
help on a
great year.
contending team. That's it. I don't have any other thoughts about that.
I could see the Clippers getting JJ Reddick back. He was
The
a boy.
Warriors, if the Warriors are in a playoff position, the Warriors because they need shooting.
I think they're a playoff team, honestly. I've watched the Warriors a lot because they're like the 10 o'clock, they're the 9 o'clock for me, 10 o'clock for you game. Generally, I mean, I love Steph. He's a baller. Draymond Green doesn't put up stats, but he's a presence. You can tell. Wiseman is a very good rookie center. I think Wiseman's going to be like DeAndre Ayton, just like a very good center.
I think better.
You think better? Okay.
Defensively, 100% going to be better.
Yeah.
Maybe not he's going to be better in the post. He can. I just think he has kind of a better feel for the game than Ayton. Not saying that Ayton's not good, but I just see him being better than Ayton.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I think Wiseman's a great player, and then Oubre. We all have something to say about Kelly Oubre, but
come on,
we know. But he's a great player, and they got some other guys. I mean, like Damian Lee's pretty good. Eric Pascal. I'm just gonna call him Eric Powwow because that's what Flight calls him, but he's a good player too, and like. I think the Warriors are for real. I think they're a playoff team, and we'll see what their ceiling is.
I think just one last thing. I think Wiggins is defending this year. That's what I've heard. I haven't watched a lot of games, but apparently he's playing defense, which is a shock.
Yeah, I have heard. I was watching in the Nets game, and they played the Warriors on opening night. Ian Eagle had something funny to say. He goes, I think Andrew Wiggins deserves most improved player because he actually is playing defense this year. So we're happy for you, Wiggins. We're happy you're playing defense. I used to always talk about this. Do you remember that meme I used to show you? And it was like Karl Anthony Towns fake text. He's like, I feel bad for Andrew Wiggins. Nothing happened. He just sucks at basketball. Like Wiggins is finally becoming like more than 23 points per game every year. So we're happy for him. The Warriors are not that bad. They have some cap space, so we'll see what they do. Yeah, I think one other thing I want to mention is I haven't watched them much. Spurs beat the Celtics last night. Big game, big win for them. DeMar DeRozan played well. DeJounte Murray's a great player. He's really coming back from his injury well. Keldon Johnson, small forward out of UNC, is amazing.
He went to Kentucky.
That's awkward.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
There was another Keldon Johnson who went to UNC, right?
There's a Bryce Johnson.
There we go. That's my bad.
That was my bad. No, you're good. You're good.
But they have good pieces. Aldridge's getting up there. DeRozan's getting up there. So we'll see what they do. I wonder if they trade those guys maybe for future assets.
I saw someone on Twitter say or question, is Lamarcus Aldridge going to be a buyout in the buyout market? I don't think it gets something for him. I have not been paying attention at all to the Spurs. I have no idea what's going on with them. I've always liked DeJounte Murray, huge fan of him, plays defense, and is underrated guy. DeRozan's a free agent, so they might be looking to trade him if they're not in the playoff race.
Yeah.
That's really all. I liked Keldon Johnson coming out of Kentucky. I have no idea how he's playing. I have not been paying attention. I probably should.
Like insane. Like I don't want to like compare fantasy, but he's a top 10 fantasy small forward, I'm pretty sure. Which is impressive, seeing DeMar DeRozan's very
14 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a good year. He is thriving.
Hey, good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, so the Spurs will be interesting. We'll see. I think if Lamarcus Aldridge gets bought out, I really like him in Portland going back while hopefully helping Dame. Another team I can see him is Golden State. Maybe the Bucs. I think the Bucs also could really use him.
Am I seeing that right? Does that say less than 5 total rebounds?
He honestly probably is. He's very slow.
Yeah, but he was averaging 7, which is okay last year. He's down. Ooh. I thought he's taking a dip.
Yeah,
Jeez.
he's not having his strongest year. I think they're gonna buy him out, and we'll see where he goes. I think, as I said, I think Bucks, Golden State, Portland, and honestly, I could see Boston as his destinations.
Yeah, the Bucks like using a center that can shoot, and he can shoot a little bit from the outside, so that would help them a little bit. We could talk about Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's a star.
Yeah, I
Stamp
wouldn't
it.
say I would not put him in the superstar
No,
category.
not
I
yet.
think I mean these guys inside the NBA, Charles Barkley, Shaq, and Kenny, they they make some stupid points sometimes. They're saying that you have to be a superstar, you got to affect the game in 3 out of 6 ways or something, which was like pace,
The effect
passing,
pays.
scoring, rebounding, and defense. Well, I don't know why those are the parameters. Like you could just look at a guy and be like,
He's
he's a superstar. He's not a superstar yet. And they were saying, oh, he can't defend. Yes, he can. He's a really good defender. He can score with the best of them. I mean, against the Knicks, he didn't play well, but he could score with the best of them. I don't think he's a great passer yet, or a great rebounder. I don't think rebounding is such a big issue. I
he's a
think
guard. They
if he wants to take himself to the next level, I think that
his
he has to.
playmaking.
His playmaking has to get a little bit better. He
Yeah,
has
I
to be a
agree.
threat to pass.
Rudy Gobert is also having an insane season. Ever since
Yeah.
Shaq chimed in and had something to say about him, he put up 30 and 23 last night. He is taking it personally. So
Yeah.
they have a good thing going on there.
Yeah. I mean, Rudy Gobert just overpowers a lot of guys. He's not the most skilled. If you give it to him, he doesn't have that much. He does not have great touch. But if you
Yeah,
give it to him under the basket, he's going to score because he's
he's a big guy.
bigger and stronger than other centers that he's playing against. I'm taking a look at Donovan Mitchell's stats right now. He's averaging 5 assists.
It's not
Pretty
bad.
good. I guess that's good enough, but I think there's just something about him that's missing that makes him a superstar.
I agree. I mean, they have a good roster around him. Jordan Clarkson is balling. He had 31 last night. Donovan Mitchell's, as
He's
we're
solid.
speaking about him, he's great. Rudy Gobert, Bojan Bogdanovic,
He
they
hasn't been playing well, but he'll hit his stride.
are a stride. Royce O'Neal, solid power
Solid.
forward.
Yeah.
They have depth. I don't.
Conley is, I think, playing okay.
He's playing all right. He's regressed since being traded to Utah. He's not Memphis prime Michael Conley, but he's not bad.
Yeah. Oh, he's averaging 16 and 6.
Oh, never mind. He's having a much better season than we thought.
And he's a good defender.
He's a good defender.
I think he's a free agent. I'd like the Knicks to look at him because I need a fucking guard that can shoot.
Yeah, Mike Conley's a good player. They have good depth. We know the top teams in the West. We got the Lakers, we got the Clippers, we got the Nuggets,
Jazz.
Jazz.
Yeah, I'd say that's it.
Those are your top four. I mean, there's other good teams in the West. We know. I like Phoenix a lot.
Yeah, I do like Phoenix.
Golden State looks good. Portland looks good.
I want to put my money on Portland.
I wouldn't either. I never.
Defensively, Lillard is and McCollum has those nights. I wouldn't put too much stock in Portland. Melo playing. I'm still not like Melo against the Knicks was just completely chucking threes.
He does that a lot. If you watch.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so we're not going to put our stock in Portland. I never put my stock in Portland. I said this to you, I think last year. So Dame had historically terrible playoff series, and he puts together one great playoff series every 4 years, and people think he's amazing. I like Dame. I think he's a top 5 point guard. I don't think he's Steph Curry level. I don't think he's Kyrie Irving level.
I think he's. I would put him at number 2.
You'd put him above Kyrie? I like Kyrie more than him. I think if Kyrie was on Portland, he would be like he was on his own team. I think he would be better.
Dame has incredible range. I think when he's hot, I think he's Curry is Curry when he's hot, but I think he's the next guy that when he's hot, like he's not gonna miss for a while. He's gonna get buckets like for a long stretch of time if he's on point. Um, I think that separates him from Kyrie, and I think athleticism a little bit separates him from Kyrie. But yeah,
Yeah,
I don't. He's not like so much better than Kyrie.
some,
I just prefer him.
okay, yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's a preference type of thing, but we'll see what Portland does. I think Portland needs to be in the trade market, trade maybe in Nazir Little, maybe some future assets. Dame's gotta like really hammer it home because we gotta see if this guy can look. I don't think they're gonna win the championship. I don't think they're an NBA Finals team, but they're not.
And Enes Kanter's starting. You know how much I hate him.
Yeah,
Terrible
but
defender.
good stat. Good stat.
Yeah, he puts up stats. So does Alfred Payton. It's
That's
making
fair.
good.
Yeah, you're not a nice kind of guy. Well, he doesn't play defense, so
Yeah, he's the worst. He might be the worst defender as a big man in the league.
Zach Collins is hurt. CJ McCollum is hurt. So they're going through a little bit right now. I think they're a good team, though. I would have put my stock in them to win the finals, but I think they can be a little pesky team, like maybe gives the Lakers, Clippers, or Nuggets work. So
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I don't know. We'll see.
all right. So I think we've covered pretty much everything on the NBA and basketball. Let's transition into baseball. So what's your biggest news of the week? What do you think the big thing is?
Biggest news. I don't know. Is there anything that? Not. I mean, there's nothing huge. I'm looking at the list now. Nothing huge. I mean, we could talk about Realmuto was expected.
Yeah, we said it last week on the pod. We said where else would JT Realmuto go? We said the Blue Jays, who made a splash in their own way.
Once they were in on Springer, I think that was it. I didn't think they were really big on him anyway. But yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, so Realmuto back to Philadelphia. I saw something on Twitter. I think it was I don't remember. It was somebody big said that Philadelphia isn't going to compete this year. They're not as good as the Mets. They're not as good as the Braves, but you got to sell tickets. You got to sell jerseys. You got to sell engagements. And bringing back the best catcher in baseball is a way to sell it. And like, look, Philadelphia is not going to be great for the next few years. So why not bring him in? They'll trade him to some team in a few years. But JT Realmuto is back in Philadelphia, which seems like a great fit for him. He's their undoubtedly best player. We'll see how he plays in the future. But yeah, I mean, they're just not good enough to compete with the best of the best in the NL East.
They're not a bad team. They're just in a. I mean, I think in other years they could be a borderline, maybe a wild card team. But I just think they're in a tough division. They're just. I think the Braves and the Mets are on another tier, and I think the Nationals are probably slightly better than them because of their pitching. But I think the JT Realmuto deal was a lot of it was to please Harper. Harper and him, I think, have a good relationship. Harper wants to win now. I think he signed a longer contract with a lower AAV so they could make moves like sign JT Realmuto. And if they gave up on him, or there's rumors they're going to trade Wheeler, that would not make him happy.
Well, I think a big thing they were saying about Philadelphia is they just don't have the money anymore. Apparently, their owner is going through some financial situation. So, like,
that was what basically every team had issues like that.
yeah, I mean that's fair. It's just I don't know. I hate Bryce Harper. I've been saying this for years. He had a great bounce back year. I hate him. I think he's a douche. I also think he is the most overrated 250 hitter in baseball who strikes.
There was I think Foolish Baseball or someone made a video about how he's actually probably underrated.
Yeah, because everyone says he's overrated.
because everyone says I think he's a good player. He's not great in the outfield, but he gets on base and he hits for power, and his average isn't too bad.
No, not anymore. He regressed in the field actually, which is an interesting thing to talk about. So we segueing into another part of what we want to talk about. So they actually denied the NL having a DH.
I don't think it's official, but
It's
good
not
for
official,
right now.
but it seems like that's going to be the move. It's weird. I'll say that. It's going to be an interesting little conversion from last year, but it hurts guys like that. It hurts the Marcel Unos who haven't signed yet, who's like, oh, maybe I should go to the AL because I can't field anymore. And I think that hurts Harper because he's not a great fielder anymore. And we'll see. We'll see how this affects the NL teams.
I think he's good enough to play. I would say he's probably below average at this point, but he's good enough to play out there. The whole thing with the DH is the proposal I think the MLB made to the MLBPA was they packaged the DH and the expanded playoffs together, and I don't think the players wanted the expanded playoffs or opposite maybe the MLBP. I don't know exactly how it went, but they were packaged together in the proposal, and I don't think people wanted the expanded playoffs, so that's why it got turned down. Yeah, so but for guys like Nelson Cruz, did Nelson Cruz sign?
No, Nelson
right?
Cruz, as we discussed last time, has still not signed. I do not understand why Minnesota has not reached out to him and said, "Hey, 1 year, bring it
They
back."
have.
They have.
I don't follow the Twins, but I'm assuming
Yes.
privately, even if there's no reports of it, I'm assuming they at least have talked to him. But if for guys like him, he can only look at half the teams in the majors until they announce that the universal DH.
So yeah, I mean, another big signing from this weekend was Marcus Semien going to Toronto. So I'm confused. I think I like Bo Bichette. He's going to be your starting shortstop of the future. It looks like I don't think Vladimir Guerrero is capable of playing third base. I think we've all pretty much determined that.
They apparently he lost a lot of weight, so that might help. But he's more of a first baseman as it stands right now.
So where does Semien fit? Does Semien fit as a DH? He's a great hitter. Or do you maybe try to convert him to a third baseman? Because it's Bo Bichette's team.
I heard. I don't know if he's gonna play second base, but I thought he was a decent fielding shortstop, and I thought Bo Bichette was not great at third base, and they would rather have him at second, and then put Kevin Biggio in right field.
Interesting.
I think that's a high AAV, but it's for 1 year, so it doesn't really matter. 18 off the year that he just had. I mean, he was third in the MVP, I think, the year before or second.
DJ came in second. He came in third, and right.
But he struggled a lot last year, and I think that completely messed up his market, especially also because there's a really good group of shortstops next free agency class, and the pandemic. Trevor Story, Lindor if he doesn't sign, Javi Baez, Correa, all those guys are free agents. So we'll see how he fits with the Blue Jays. I think it's a nice pickup, but we'll see.
I mean, I think Toronto is pretty much trying to say we are a wild card team, or maybe we're good enough to beat the Yankees. I mean, as a Yankee fan myself, we picked up a new starting pitcher. We have picked up Darren O'Day in the bullpen. I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking about it. I don't think there's enough depth there. I don't think Toronto is enough depth in their pitching, but I just I don't know. Maybe like last year the Rays were a great team, but do we think the Rays were going to beat the Yankees in the AL East run?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was possible just because they had really good pitching at the top, but now it's gone. All they have left is Glass now. Morton and Snell are gone.
Yeah, Morton is in Atlanta, which was a great signing, and Snell obviously in San Diego, as we talked about last week. Look, this is the Yankees division to win. The Yankees have been losing in the ALCS every year. Don't even get me started. This is the year. If
Poor
you,
baby, only going to ALCS every year. Poor baby.
yeah, but maybe like figure it out. That's all I gotta say. We'll see what happens. This has been an interesting week of baseball. Steven Matz got traded today, if I'm not mistaken, or was
Yeah, last night.
last night. He got traded to Toronto, actually, which makes me as a Yankee fan happy because Steven Matz sucks. Uh, Mets picked up 3 prospects for a guy who wasn't even going to make the rotation. So talk about it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so he was in the non-tender market. I don't know if that's what it's called, but he was a candidate to be non-tendered. A lot of people thought he might be, and he ended up not being non-tendered. So to get prospects back in a deal was actually very surprising. A lot of people thought that they wouldn't really get much for him.
3 prospects, actually.
3 prospects. None of them are like great, obviously, but they're okay. It was a cap space clearing move. They're gonna this is a for sure indication that they're gonna make another move, whether it's Jackie Bradley, maybe another bullpen arm, both, or maybe Trevor Bauer. It's reported that they did make him an offer under the 36 million that I think that apparently he wants.
Garrett Cole. He
Under
wants more than Garrett Cole.
He's not going to get that.
He's
He
not.
can if it's a very short deal. He can.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of opt-outs in the contract that they proposed. And I also saw a report that the Angels are out on him because they have the Mets' old manager as their pitching coach, Mickey Callaway, and apparently they have a very bad relationship from their time in Cleveland when Mickey Callaway was Trevor Bauer's pitching coach. Apparently, that's a huge turnoff for him. So it might be between the Dodgers and the Mets, and if he goes to the Dodgers, that MLB's done.
Yeah. We said this last week before we actually knew about the Mickey Callaway situation. I thought he was an Angel. I thought he was going to go there.
I agreed. I thought the Angels were going to outbid everyone.
Yeah, so did I. The Mets traded Steven Matz. If you have a rotation of Noah Syndergaard when he comes back, Jacob deGrom, Trevor Bauer, Carlos Carrasco, and Roman,
and Peterson was very solid for us last year, and he might even be out of the rotation just because they have so many people.
I mean that's pretty much the best starting rotation you're gonna find. It's better than anything.
It's not even a question.
If they have 5 guys who can all be number ones.
That could all be 1 through 3s, yeah.
Yeah, so the Mets are scary if they get Bauer. I really hope the Dodgers don't. I mean, Bauer prides himself on being this like stand-up guy who's hysterical, who everybody loves. I don't know if he's the type to say, you know what, I'm going to change my persona. I'm going to LA and I'm going to be this Death Star. I want to be this guy who everybody hates. I just don't think it's him.
He's looking for money, I think. He wants to win, but I think at the end of the day, money's going to win out.
Yeah.
So whoever gives him the most, I think will get him. I actually also want to talk about the Ottavino trade and hear your thoughts about it.
So basically, Ottavino was traded in order to increase our cap situation. I mean, since the Yankees obviously are over their luxury tax, his $8 million contract was actually now a $9 million contract. Ottavino, let me just pull up his stats real quick, had a terrible season. He cannot pitch to lefties. He's basically useless against lefties. He had a 5.89 ERA last year in total, righties and lefties, 3 losses. He's 35 years old. He's nowhere near that Adam Ottavino we saw in Colorado, and he's nowhere near that Adam Ottavino we saw in 2019 for the Yankees. Although many are upset, I'm very pleased. I don't love the bullpen depth. We just picked up Darren O'Day, which I think is great. Nice little sinker baller. He's old, 1-year deal. Fine. If he doesn't work out, we designate him for assignment. I like the idea of freeing up money, freeing up a roster spot for the Corey Kluber signing and the DJ LeMahieu signing to become official. I'm cool with it.
From my perspective, from that side looking in, I was a little bit surprised. First of all, they dealt him to the
for
Red
sure. It was
Sox.
so surprising.
First of all, they dealt him to the Red Sox, and they're not the Yankees and Red Sox are not known for making trades with each other since they're bitter rivals. I just thought I heard that Ottavino had like one bad start that inflated or not start, sorry, one bad appearance that inflated his ERA.
Probably against a bunch of lefties. He couldn't pitch the lefties.
And I don't think you can put that much into a bad 2020 because a lot of elite players had bad 2020s. I think, yeah, Christian Yelich is just one example. Baez, Bryant,
Bellinger,
Bellinger. All those guys didn't have great 2020s, whether it's because of the no fans or just the Corona situation, less games. I just think he has too much of an upside to be trade. I guess $9 million is a little much for him, but I think based on his 2019, I think he could be an elite piece in the bullpen.
Yeah.
And depending on what you guys do with the money that you saved, I question the deal. If you go get I don't know if it gives you extra money to get Tanaka, even though I heard he probably
Tanaka reportedly today signed in Japan. He went back to He went back to his former team. I love Masa. I actually have a Masa jersey at home. We're gonna miss him. He's one of my favorite Yankees. I wish the guy nothing but the best. We picked up Jameson Thailand, I think he said his name, maybe Thai.
Tyon. Yeah,
Tyon. He's good. He's coming off an injury. Severino should be back hopefully this year. Domingo Herman, his stupid ass should be back this year. Garrett Cole's the second best pitcher in baseball, in my opinion. And look, it's not the best rotation we've seen, but it's better than last year's. We're gonna miss Masa. Jay Happ also signed in Minnesota, which is fine. He sucks. I think they're gonna try to use that money too. They used some of it to sign Darren O'Day. I think the next thing is to get a decent starting pitcher.
If they go and get Gardner with that money, unless they get something else with Gardner, I would be really disappointed if I were you, because I think I've always liked Clint Frazier. I always thought they should trade him because I think he was too good to be sitting in the minor leagues.
I agree.
I think he deserves that. I think he plays left field, right? I think he deserves that left field spot.
An awful defender.
I heard he improved last year.
Yeah, because it's impossible to unimprove from.
Yeah.
So, I hate Miguel Andujar. I want to see him go. His rookie great potential, but I think it's time for the Miguel Andujar train to go to like Cincinnati or something, somewhere where he, like when like Jorge.
He's not gonna play in Cincinnati because they have Eugenio, unless they're looking to trade him. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Like Jorge Soler, who struggled in Chicago, and they trade him to Kansas City, and now he had like a shit ton of home runs because he was like able to just like do his thing.
Yeah.
I think Miguel Andujar needs to go somewhere and just do his thing, just not on the Yankees. And look, Gio Urshela is going to get a nice little contract for himself. I hope they are working on that. And yeah, I'm interested to see what they do. I like the idea of a nice little veteran piece in the rotation with that money. I love Gardy. He's a Yankees legend. I don't need him. I don't need his shiny head.
My issues with their pitching pickup or their starting pitching pickups is these are high upside guys, but the problem is if they've got some pretty serious injury history and they could I think Tyon just came off an injury and so did Kluber.
He didn't play
and you don't know what's going to happen with Herman or Severino. So I thought they needed a safer pickup. I think they should go look to find maybe a safer guy that they could throw in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what they do. We have Clark Schmidt, who's a young guy. I'm a big fan of Clark Schmidt. We have Jonathan Loaisiga. Funny story. I actually went to Jonathan Loaisiga's first start. He threw 6 innings, pitched a good game. He's like a long reliever at best. You're right. I agree with you. I think the rotation needs to be bolstered with a second piece. Masahiro Tanaka was that second guy. Hopefully Sevy comes back and is similar to himself, but
they also have Devi Garcia, and who's the other guy? They have another guy that's young.
I can check. We have King. King's pretty
Oh,
decent.
Michael King. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
Michael
name.
King's solid. He pitched actually against the Mets in those like live scrimmage games.
Oh yeah, I think he killed us.
He did kill you guys, actually funny enough, but
Yeah.
he's a good guy. He's young. I want to see a little more development for him and Clark Schmidt, but they got to bolster the starting rotation. The Yankees love using an opener. They love using that little Chad Green opener with like Jonathan
Yeah.
Luis gun relief. I don't love the idea of an opener, but
I don't either.
we'll see really on that. Other than that, we covered pretty much all the free agent signings. We covered our thoughts on Trevor Bauer. Anything else you're thinking about in the baseball world?
I'm just taking a look at our list.
Oh, the Hall of Fame. That's something.
Oh, the Hall of Fame. That's what we wanted to talk about. Okay.
So everybody has their own opinions on the Baseball Hall of Fame. I will share mine. I thought one person on the ballot this year deserved to be in the Hall of Fame.
Shilling?
I think Curt Shilling did. I understand he's politically not a great person. He is not the best person on air. He's been kicked off multiple TV shows for racial and sexist stuff. He's not a great person, but I think it's almost insane that he's not in the Hall of Fame. Ty Cobb is renowned as one of the worst people in the world, and Ty Cobb is
Yeah, he was a douchebag.
he was a douche, and he's a racist. He was a scumbag. But Ty Cobb's in the MLB Hall of Fame, and I think Curt Schilling deserved to make it.
So I listened to Jeff Passan talk about this. The voters,
The writers
have this. The writers, yeah, the
That's what they call
writers.
themselves. They're not voters.
They're writers and voters, but they call themselves the writers. Whatever. They have this like mortal code, and they're really, really inconsistent with it. Jeff Passan made a point that if they're gonna take points away from a guy for being a douche or just like having some moral issues, then you gotta give guys points for being good guys, good locker room guys, good in the community. Yeah. And I agree with that point. And also another point that he made that I liked was that a Hall of Fame is like a museum.
Yeah.
And you have to learn the good history with the bad. So you can put everyone in that deserves it. Like Barry Bonds even though he cheated, yes, and that was wrong. He was still ridiculous
before the PEDs.
Yeah, he should 100% be in the Hall of Fame, and you could put that asterisk and say, "Hey, he took PEDs." You could, think about it how you want.
Yeah,
and move on. Put Curt Shilling in there, and most people know, hey, that guy is a douchebag.
He's a douche,
but it's part of history.
And he was a great baseball player. And
yeah,
I think if the MLB decides next year, we're gonna us writers, we're gonna put in these guys with PEDs. I think the main PED guys we're going to see get in is Barry Bonds. We're gonna see Roger Clemens, one of the best pitchers of all time. Alex Rodriguez. Look, I'm a Yankees fan.
He did it twice.
I think the thing with A-Rod is I know he cheated. 3,000 hits, 600 home runs is a very impressive thing. The other guy that I will defend till the grave is Pete Rose. Pete Rose is an Hall of Famer. And I can't stand he's not. I know he bet on games and had his shitty situation, but why isn't Pete Rose a Hall of Famer? I mean, like 4,000 hits? Like, come on.
I agree. What do they call him? I think Charlie Hustle was his nickname. Dude, 100% deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. No doubt.
He's not even a bad guy. Was the whole thing is that he bet on?
I think he wasn't a great guy, but yeah, no, the whole thing was. I don't know what it's called in baseball, but in like basketball, it's point shaving. I think that's what he did. I'm not entirely sure.
I thought he bet on his team to win.
He might have, but like is Shoeless Joe Jackson in the Hall of Fame?
I'm going to say no, even though he is one of the best players from the early 20th century.
Yeah, no, he was on another level, and he was on that White Sox team that had the bet on the game. I don't know exactly what happened, but he was on that team.
He had 356.
That's a different time.
He is not in the Hall of Fame, and I like to think that he isn't in the Hall of Fame because they actually threw a World Series, which is pretty insane. I don't think Pete Rose ever threw baseball games, which is what's crazy to me. I think Pete Rose deserves to be a Hall of Famer. I think that Shilling deserves to be a Hall of Famer, and go from there. I mean, I don't love the idea of Bonds, A-Rod, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco.
Sammy Sosa can't anymore.
Oh, he's past 10 years?
Yeah, I think.
I feel like those are the type of guys, when like you pass away and they do like those honorary Hall of Fame plaques. I think Rose will get one of those, which is sad because he deserves to be able to witness his plaque ceremony. But
there's a way, I think, besides when you die to get in. I don't know exactly how it works.
It's like 40 years.
I don't know exactly what it is, but there's a way, and I think the new generation is thinking about the steroid era in a different way, and that's going to help out some of the guys in the future.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so that's the Baseball Hall of Fame. No electees this year, which I don't know if it shocked many people or if it didn't, but we will see with next year and who gets the vote.
One last thing, Curt Shilling requested to be taken off the ballot, but they wouldn't take him out because he didn't want to be involved with this BS. That's not what he said, but that's basically why.
Yeah, I mean, I think Curt Shilling at this point has said, I've had a good enough MLB career to make the Hall of Fame. I actually met Curt Shilling. Here's a funny story. I was on a cruise and we like stayed in this nicer area of the cruise ship, and my dad goes, "That's Curt Shilling." He was on the Red Sox at the time, and I was young. I was like 8. And I met Curt Shilling, and I shook his hand, and I said, like, I'm a Yankees fan. And he made a joke. I don't quite remember, but he was a good guy to me. And I'm not going to sit here and defend him.
Yeah, no, he's not going to be a dick to fans, but
he's a douche. But Curt Shilling's a great baseball player.
Yeah, there's no doubting that.
All right, so as I said previously, no players elected to the Hall of Fame. We will see how next year shapes up and who gets it next year. For now, nobody. So yeah, let's transition into the NFL. A big weekend in the NFL. We had one game that came as a shock to me and many, and one game that pretty much went as planned. So let's talk about them. Green Bay. What the fuck?
I don't know. You look at Aaron Rodgers' stats. He had a pretty good game. He threw that one bad pick at the end of the first half that really put them in a hole.
That was a holding penalty. I'll defend that.
I didn't. I just know that they weren't really calling penalties all game, and they called the pass interference at the end of the game on the Packers. And even though it was clearly pass interference, I hadn't been calling that all game. So that's one thing. But I think when it mattered most, Aaron Rodgers did not come through. I think Brady, what did Brady have, like 3 picks in the second half?
Brady had 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Jair Alexander, the second best cornerback in the league, had 2 of those interceptions.
Yeah, and he didn't take it, and they were down by 8, like for 2 or 3 possessions, and he didn't take advantage of it, and they lost the game. And by the way, people are talking about the call at the end of the game to kick the field goal. I really didn't mind it. I didn't think it was that bad. Brady hadn't been playing well in the second half, and I thought it was an okay idea to trust your defense.
Yeah, so I think the other thing that came interesting in that game is on 3rd down, Rodgers threw the ball to Davante Adams and didn't decide to run. He didn't have a touchdown. If you go back and you watch not the aerial view where you can just look above, but if you look at the Rodgers point of view, there actually is a video online that I saw. There was 2 guys. They had a linebacker and a cornerback, and Davante Adams at the time was actually very wide open. He happened to, I think, underthrow the ball or something, and Davante Adams didn't have the opportunity to catch it, but he did not take off, which I think he could have gone a few extra yards, but I think at that point, Matt LaFleur had already discussed, we're going to kick this ball, so do not do anything stupid. And I think there was a chance Aaron Rodgers may have fumbled it. You have a great kicker in Mason Crosby who's going to kick that right up the upright. So I don't disagree with the call. Their defense just did not come through when it mattered most. Brady. He had 3 interceptions. I don't want to hear people say he had a great game. He did not have a great game, but they did just enough to beat the hot Packers and, in my opinion, the best team in the league.
Their defense was also coming on at the right time. I think they were struggling early in the season, but I think their secondary and their pass rushers forced the issue. And I think Bakhtiari being hurt showed to be a problem for the Packers.
I mean, Devin White's back. He's a stud. JPP is playing like he's on the Giants still. They're having good production from these good guys, and Vita Vea is back from his injury as well. They look great up front. Sean Murphy Bunting has had an interception every game this playoffs. He is a second-year player. He's playing extremely well. Winfield's not a bad guy either. I think the Bucs are genuinely a team that maybe we should be fearing a little bit. They're good. Closing thoughts. It's Brady in the Super Bowl. Let's just say that. At home. They're in Tampa Bay. These guys want to get it done.
I hate Brady.
I hate Brady too. I mean, 2-0 against Brady. Fuck you, Tom. But you're a good football player, and I hate that.
Yeah.
So, also, lastly on this game, can we please put it to rest? Brady is not a system quarterback.
No, he's not. But he also has really good weapons this year, so.
Yeah, I mean, Leonard Fournette has the hands of a baby. That guy cannot catch for shit. But Fournette, Rojo, Godwin, Evans, Gronk, Cameron Brate, Scotty Miller. I love that guy.
Scotty Miller.
They got a good team. I mean, they're good. They tore him apart. Brady played any man defense on Desmond King. Desmond King is terrible. That guy let up 3 touchdowns. So Tampa Bay's for real. They are going to the Super Bowl. Well, that's interesting thing to cover. Other game, Buffalo, Kansas City. I was a big believer in Buffalo. I didn't think they were going to win this game. They did not come close to winning this game. They had an early 9-0 lead off a big fumble from Mecole Hardman, but Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill flat out said, "This is our game. We are winning this. We're going back to the Super Bowl."
Yeah. At the end of the day, the Chiefs' offense proved to be too much.
They are.
Once Patrick Mahomes was cleared, I was like, they don't have a shot. I think if Patrick Mahomes was out, they could have.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs could have won still, just because their weapons are just on another level. But yeah, I see skipping to the Super Bowl. I see the Chiefs winning most likely. I just don't know how Tampa Bay is going to stop their offense, and their defense is not too bad. So we'll see.
I mean, Eric Fisher is done for the year. He hurt himself, tore his ACL, which is a big injury. I mean, he's their left tackle, if I'm not mistaken, which is
I don't know. I know he's offensive lineman. I don't know.
Plays the same position as David Bakhtiari. We saw the pain that gave Rodgers. He got sacked a lot. I just think Kansas City is an impressively good team. I think Kansas City is amazing. Travis Kelce is a fucking animal. He is a product of the AAC. We love the AAC here. I mean, great.
Where do you go?
AAC.
Where I know, like where?
Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
So he's a Cincinnati grad, AAC guy. He's insane. Tyreek Hill also is incredible. Clyde Edwards-Helaire from Louisiana. He's a good player. They're very good. Let's just say that. I think I got Kansas City winning the Super Bowl by, I would say, 7 points is my best bet.
It seems reasonable. I don't know how much, but I think Kansas City will win for sure.
Yeah, I took Kansas City -3. I think they can get it done. So we'll see from there. I think as much as Brady's home field, I just think Kansas City is too good, which is back-to-back champions in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes has bolstered his resume. He is an amazing quarterback. He's a great guy, and we'll see from there. So outside of the Super Bowl and that side of town, let's talk about quarterbacks right now. So big report: Jared Goff is reportedly in hot water with coach
McVay.
Sean McVay. He wants out. Apparently, he's a ridiculous contract. He's not a great quarterback, and they're saying John Wolford is going to compete with him in training camp for the starting role. Thoughts, impressions?
I mean, he wasn't. Well, yeah, Wolford, whatever his name.
Whatever his name is, he doesn't deserve his name correct. He hasn't proven himself enough.
He didn't look too bad. He could run a little bit. His arm wasn't too bad. He didn't play for much in that playoff game. But he looked decent.
I mean, he got him there. He beat Arizona. I don't want to credit him too much. The Rams have the best D lineman and the best defensive back in the game. They controlled Arizona. They beat Arizona with Kyler Murray going down early, which was an interesting little thing. And yeah, I mean, I think Goff's better. I don't like Goff. I think Goff is a better quarterback, but I think they just so desperately want to get rid of him. And Sean McVay and him do not get along. So we'll see. I don't think Wolford has the opportunity to beat him out. I don't think he's good enough.
Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily a bad quarterback. I just don't think he's a great quarterback. I don't know what to say because their defense was really good last year. I don't know how good their offensive line. I think Cam Akers put it together at the end of last year.
He had a good rookie year. Very good rookie year.
Yeah, maybe a couple because you can make a really good team without an elite quarterback. He's good enough to, he proved he's good enough to take a team to a Super Bowl if you have the right pieces around him.
Yeah.
We'll see, man. I don't know what to say about the Rams.
I just think the other thing let's talk about with the final thoughts is the top 4 teams this year, the 4 teams to beat. We have Tom Brady, who's the best quarterback of all time. You got Aaron Rodgers, who many think is the most skilled quarterback of all time. You have Patrick Mahomes, who's Patrick Mahomes. And then you got Josh Allen, a rising star, the guy who bursted onto the scene. Those are 4, I mean, other than Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson, those are some of the best quarterbacks the league has to offer. And I think what the Rams are going through is right now is we have the best defense in the league, but we just don't have the quarterback. We don't have the guy. We don't have the leader. They got to get their guy. I don't know if it's through the draft or it's through John Wolford turning into Patrick Mahomes or Jared Goff figures it out. But
yeah. Speaking of Watson, I think he formally requested a trade today.
He did. He's out.
Apparently the Jets are his number 1 option, which I would love. The Jets have never had a quarterback even close to as good as Deshaun Watson. I'd be absolutely ecstatic. Do whatever it takes. Do whatever it reasonably takes. Except don't trade like Quinnen Williams or Mekhi Becton. But the picks, go for it. Go for it. We need it. And we what?
Fuck it. Like why the fuck not? Like, yeah. Are you kidding?
And we have the cap too, even if we give up some picks. So
yeah, I mean, people are arguing maybe the Jets shouldn't do it. They can get Penei Sewell, who is going to be a all-time offensive tackle, and Becton is the scariest human being in the world. So they would have 2 of the best offensive tackles in the league, maybe even in league history. But I think tackles move around a lot. If I'm the Jets, I'm trading the number 3 pick. I'm trading my future pick. What? Number 2. Oh, yeah, I got mistaken. I'm trading it all because Deshaun Watson is an amazing guy, first of all, and an amazing quarterback.
Top 5 quarterback at the age of 25 on contract.
Yeah.
Go for it. And the Dolphins are another team that could trade for him. They have the 3rd pick, and we're a decent team last year.
I don't know. I don't think they move on from Tua so quickly. It seems like Brian Flores really likes him. They want to bring in Devontae Smith, maybe. Get this amazing wide receiver quarterback next to Devontae Parker combination. They have a great team.
And Gesicki's a solid tight end. He's in the next tier of tight ends, I would say. He's a good tight end.
And they also have Jakeem Grant, who's a great slot receiver. That's a very good team.
They have a good defense.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're good enough to beat Buffalo, but they are a wild card team for sure. And I think we're going to see LA drop out and then maybe take their. Oh no, LA's in the NFC. I think it's going to be interesting to see where the Dolphins fit. I like the Dolphins a lot. I really hope they make the playoffs next year.
I hope they don't. I hope the Jets make the playoffs.
That's true. So let's talk. Deshaun Watson gets traded. They made an awful coaching hiring. The Ravens offensive coordinator.
I don't know. I saw he was, I think, officially announced today. I didn't know. I didn't recognize the name. I don't remember what the name was.
They had the 30th.
I don't know.
They had the 30th best passing offense, maybe even 32nd. I don't remember which one. Bad. It's bad. This is a bad hiring. Although Eric Bieniemy seemed like the clear-cut coach, he did not get a job. I don't know if that's his desire to stay in Kansas City. But he's an interesting hire. Deshaun Watson clearly is like, fuck this guy. I'm not playing for him. No way. I think Deshaun Watson finds himself in New York. I think the Jets can really use him. Where else? I think the Lions may make a push. The Colts is an interesting option.
I mean, any team that could use a quarterback.
The Rams, I can see one of those.
Anyone who needs a quarterback is in play. I just think the Jets have the best in terms of draft picks, have the best assets.
I think he ends up in New
York. And the Dolphins are probably number 2 on that list. The thing with Eric Bieniemy, I think I heard one thing about. I think he wants to stay possibly in Kansas City. So
that guy's living the fucking life. Are you kidding me? I get to wake up in the morning and I have the best quarterback in the league. I have the best tight end in the league. I got the fastest wide receiver in the league. I got Mecole Hardman. Hey, you go run this route. I'm gonna have my quarterback underhand flip it to you, and it's gonna work.
And you got Andy Reid, and you have Andy Reid calling plays for you. So
Eric Bieniemy is a genius. I know everybody's like, "Oh, we should have taken a head coaching role. We should have gotten one." If I'm Eric Bieniemy, I'm going to Kansas City. I'm like, "Hey, like, you want to give me an extra $1 million or so? Like, help a boy out. Let me feed my family, and let's win another fucking Super Bowl next year." Like,
Also, I think Andy Reid's pretty old, so who knows? He might retire soon, and he might be up for the Kansas City head coach job.
Exactly, and Bieniemy's a great guy. He's a good opportunity there. Mahomes loves him. Tyreek Hill loves him. Kelsey loves him. They adore the guy. Yeah, hammered it. I think he's the successor, assuming he doesn't get a job elsewhere. Another way around the league, Taylor Heineke. People have been discussing in mock drafts, maybe the Washington football team making him the future starter, if not drafting a guy. I like Heineke. I think he's a good player. He was athletic. He played a better game against Tampa Bay than many teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they play who did Tampa Bay play in the second round? New Orleans.
Yes, they played him better than New Orleans because
they played him better than New Orleans. First of all, because Washington's defense is really good, and Taylor Heineke was part of that. He played a hell of a game, and I was shocked, and I was rooting for him because I was like, "Wow, this underdog from going to went to Old Dominion, still taking. I think he's trying to get I don't know if he's trying to get a master's or just graduate. He's taking like calculus, like heavy duty calculus classes. I was like, good for you, man. He was like a week before or maybe a couple weeks before, he was like taking Zoom classes.
Yeah. And he asked his professors, he said, "Hey, can I maybe take my finals in a little bit? I'm on the taxi squad for the Washington football team." Old Dominion's putting themselves in an interesting situation. They had no NFL players. They recently got O'Shane Zimenez, a Giants linebacker who I really like. They have another guy in the league. I'm not quite sure of the name. I think he's on the Eagles. And Heineke's a great player. I think he's a good stand-up guy. He's a funny guy. Chase Young loves him. I don't know if you've seen the Chase Young thing where he goes up to him. He's like, that boy Taylor's a dog. Like, he's for real. Like,
that's a Chase Young thing to say.
He's a good guy. So I could see it. Why not? Give him a 1-year deal. Say, we'll give you $10 million. It's a lot of money for your year. Prove it.
He's going to get himself paid. No matter where it is. He's going to get a heavy-duty second string job.
Yeah.
Or he's going to probably be fighting for a starting position somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll see, man. And he's athletic too. He saw that insane touchdown he had, I think, diving to the pylon. He jumped from super far away. I'm like, wait, is he white? Like what the hell?
What?
It's like, where'd that come from?
That's good. I mean, like, we had this conversation. I don't know if our podcast is turning into white guys who are all similar, but is Taylor Heineke, Nikola Jokic, and Larry Bird, are they prodigies of the white community? We'll have to check it out. So that's the Taylor Heineke buzz. I mean, around the NFL, we have the draft coming up, which I think we're going to dedicate an episode to, maybe just like we're going to talk about.
I think we got to do a little research because I don't know too much about more than Devontae Smith, some of the quarterbacks, Pitts, the Oregon offensive tackle. And that's about it. I don't really know anyone else.
We'll do some research. We'll crunch some numbers. We'll have a nice little episode or big segment of the episode on that. So another thing we want to talk about is, I think everybody saw the press conference. Aaron Rodgers was not happy with Matt LaFleur's decision to go for it. Is Rodgers done in Green Bay, or do you think Rodgers sticks around and says, okay, guys, come on, what the fuck? We're the best team in the NFC.
He made a comment saying he was unsure about his future. I think people blew it out of proportion. He does an interview on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday, and I watch part of it. And he said that he was just, I don't know if this is a cover up, but he said just in general, like he doesn't like players don't control their future. Like they could be traded at any moment, but that's not true for him. They don't want to trade him. He just had an MVP year.
Yeah.
I think he was just mad at the time and said something that he probably shouldn't. And that's it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he lost a big game. Plus, what do you like? I was thinking about this yesterday. What do you even trade for Aaron Rodgers? He's up there in age, but he won the MVP this year, most likely. What do you trade? Like, I don't know if I want to trade future picks for Aaron Rodgers. Like, I don't know if I want to not trade future picks for Aaron Rodgers. So I don't really know what you do with the Aaron Rodgers situation trade wise, but I think it's an interesting little thing to be discussed.
If someone's a quarterback away, I don't know, the Rams give up a few picks for him, but otherwise it doesn't really make sense in my opinion.
Yeah. So I think the last thing actually we wanted to cover in the NFL, Matthew Stafford, who many say is the most underrated quarterback in the league. I think he's actually been called underrated so much that he actually may be a little overlooked. He's a great quarterback. I think the Colts is the perfect fit for him.
Yeah. Any place that will utilize his talents the best. Chicago, New England, Indianapolis are all good options. Maybe even the Rams if they're unhappy with Goff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a dog.
He could win with pieces around him. I don't think he's Aaron Rodgers, but if you give him a couple targets and a decent defense, he'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the clip. It's been going around Twitter when they popped his arm out of his socket and he said, "Fuck you, coach, I'm going back in." Yeah. Threw a touchdown and he literally was walking off like this, like I'm dying, but he's a dog. I love Stafford, really stand-up guy. He's an amazing person. I hope to see him in maybe with the Colts with Phillip Rivers retiring, Giants legend Phillip Rivers. So we'll see. All right, so we've covered everything with the NFL. We are going to implement a new little series into the show. So we're gonna talk about some hot takes. We're not gonna come up with 30 hot takes, but we're gonna come up with one hot take that we think is going to happen across any major sports league. It's just something crazy that we wanted to say and just like segment our show a little more. So today we're gonna talk about. We both have a football hot take, but start it off. What is your hot take?
My hot take is the Jets will make the playoffs next year. I don't think they'll win the division. I think there's a good shot they can make the wild card. Even coming off being the second worst team in the league, they've got a lot of picks. They got a lot of cap space. They got a new coach that I think a lot of people want to play for. I think they're gonna make some moves and become a way better team this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you as a New Yorker who's a Giants fan. I like what the Jets are doing. I think Robert Saleh was about the perfect signing for a New York team. Some guy who's badass energy and a guy who's like, you know what? I love players. Players love me. I'm a players coach he's gonna bring some guys in. And I think the Jets can really make a statement next year. So my hot take, I'm going to stick with New York football. I'm going to talk about my Giants. I think Daniel Jones has the opportunity to become the quarterback. Let's surprise everybody. I saw this thing on Instagram the other day. The last 3 years, we've all had a quarterback that's shaken the scene. We had Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. These three guys became much better. I mean, Mahomes was decent his rookie year, but he didn't turn into an animal. Lamar Jackson was okay his rookie year. He turned into an MVP. Josh Allen was whatever his first few years in the league and then fixed his decision making and became one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think Daniel Jones has the talent. I think he has the body. I think he has the structure, the game to actually become that quarterback that's like, oh my God, what the fuck happened to this guy in the offseason? He's big. The Giants are going to solidify their team. They're going to get a better O-line, which only got better. They're going to get him receiving options, whether it's in the draft or free agency. And I can see Daniel Jones becoming the next step. He's going to fix his fumbling problems. He's going to fix his decision making under a second year with Joe Judge. And I think he's going to be a true quarterback with the Giants can build around.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree, but there's a reason why it's a hot take. I personally don't see it. I think he's athletic, and I think they should utilize that more. Put him more in the run game. I mean, what I've seen, I don't watch him too much. Yeah, I don't see because I don't know if he necessarily has the arm talent of a Josh Allen. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, his decision making is not too great, and his fumbling is an issue.
I think the issue with his fumbling is he just never had the O-line to support him or the receiving options to throw.
That's fair. That's fair.
But once again, you can say that with every quarterback. I'm just going to defend my guy.
Yeah.
So we'll see that with Daniel Jones. And lastly, we implemented this in our last show, and I think we both really like this. We're just going to talk about something this week. Like, it can be something we covered, it can be something we watched, but just something we really enjoyed to watch this week. And I'm gonna start. I'm gonna talk about UFC again. Huge event on Saturday. We saw the Conor McGregor lose to New Orleans' own Dustin Poirier, who
Lafayette
he's from Lafayette, but he's in New Orleans from time to time. Louisiana guy. He beat the shit out of him, and he beat the shit out of my bank account too. I lost a lot of money on that fight. And look, I'm happy for Poirier. I mean, like, I live in Louisiana now for school, as I mentioned, and like, I'm happy for the guy. He fucked me up financially, but he's really showing the UFC is a place of surprises, and I think Dana White has marketed his brand so much to where people are like, wow, UFC's the shit. And I think it was a great fight. We have some other big fights coming up, and I think UFC was great. UFC 257 was an amazing event with some good fighters.
Yeah. I didn't catch any of the undercards, but I watched that fight, and I thought it was entertaining. I think McGregor has lost it. People say that he lost his pride for the sport, and I might have to agree with that. I thought that was just a great tactical win for Poirier. He was kicking his calf so much that McGregor's leg got tired, and then he finally took advantage of that and knocked him out.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Khabib, but he said, I mean, Khabib is pound for pound the best UFC fighter of all time. I think many will say he's an animal. I think Khabib is the best fighter in the world. We'll see if he comes back and maybe fights Poirier. We'll see. But you saw what he said. When you switch your guys and you edit your team, you're gonna get your ass kicked, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so I watched same thing as last week for me as well. I watched the Liverpool match today against Tottenham. My roommate's a big Tottenham fan. So, I mean, I could only really watch half because I had class. I had it on during class and kind of watching it a little bit.
Richmond, don't recruit him. He's a good student.
Yeah. No, but it was a good match. The boys won. Hadn't been playing well for a while. It was our first goal, Premier League goal of the new year, which is kind of sad. But we yeah.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. Well, I think we're in fourth place right now. We leapfrog. We were in fifth. We leapfrog. I don't remember which team was in West Brom. I don't remember which team was in fourth ahead of us, but we leapfrog them. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna win the league this year, but I think we'll finish top 5 for sure. We're in a little bit of a rough spot right now. We also have one of the best players in the world hurt, Virgil van Dijk tore his ACL, so that's a big loss for us. But yeah.
But yeah, so another great week of sports. And once again, I just really, from our team, we really want to say thank you for all the support. I mean, we've turned just a fun idea by 2 dumb kids, and we've really found a hobby and a liking for this. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and really showing their love and support through either text, commenting, or viewing and following. And we're going to keep going. We're going to push out content weekly. We're going to be on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and just keeping
We should
on
make
the
it Twitter too. No, I was thinking about that today. We should possibly make it Twitter.
We should get Twitter. We're definitely going to think about a Twitter. We will keep you guys posted. We have a link tree, which is in our bios pretty much everywhere. So make sure to check that out and see where to check us out. And yeah, thanks everybody again for tuning into week 2 of the lineup. And we're excited to see you guys again next week.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.